Okay, well, since we have 10:03, I'm going to go ahead and launch. We'll get started, and I'm really hopeful that our other panelists can get on as soon as possible, but I think we should welcome everybody. So thank you so much for coming to the second Computer Science Education Week panel designed specifically for non-traditional / out-of-school learning time providers. I think you are going to have a great wealth of knowledge shared from this dream team in front of you. I'm going to start with just a little bit of information about all things Computer Science Week before we launch into our panelist introductions. And this will hopefully also give us time for our last panelist to get on. This has been a partnership of several stakeholders in the state of Iowa. And just want to kind of start you out with a little teaser about why we're super excited about computer science.
I think it's just necessary for where we're at in society today.
It probably has some of the best job security there probably is right now.
If you want to make the world a better place, this is the best time in history to connect your thoughts to technology. I don't think anyone would have an issue finding a job.
They're well-paying jobs. They really are. It literally makes you more valuable as an employee.
It's definitely paid off.
Computer science field is growing at rates that we've never seen before.
Oh no.
Well, we all carry technology with us everywhere, and computer science is the foundation.
Well, everybody, we're getting all the technology snafus out of the way right now. So sorry about that. I tested it with the panelists and then unshared my screen. Thanks to everybody who made that note. I will say that I will share the link to this slideshow so that you can also connect with the resources that our panelists have archived here. I'll put that in the chat so you can watch it with the visuals next time. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me make sure that I have shared my screen now. Okay. So here are all things Computer Science Ed Week. This is the second of several panels that'll be happening all week. And there's also a host of materials at this iowastem.org/CSEdWeek website that are curated, vetted materials from several partners that I'll give you ways to get started with computer science ed with the youth in your life, whether that is professionally or in your personal life. I highly encourage you to do some things this week to celebrate and continue to have, you will always have access to these items, so infuse them wherever you can. And now I would love to provide an opportunity for our amazing panelists to introduce themselves. We have Tyler Hahn from the Cherokee Library, Heidi Brown from the Iowa After School Alliance, Monica Post from the Boys and Girls Club of Central Iowa, Tim Sieber from Tech Journey, and we're gonna work on getting Kim from Girl Scouts in here. As soon as she can join, we'll add her in. So I'll go ahead and kind of call you out across the screen. So Tim, do you want to start and just give us a, like a 30-second to 45-minute 45-second introduction with your name, your role, and 1 or 2 sentences that sort of summarize your role in out-of-school computer science in your community.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So my name is Tim Sieber. I'm the executive director of Tech Journey. We're a nonprofit here in Des Moines, and we provide out-of-school programming, enrichment programming, really, to Central Iowa youth, upper elementary all the way through high school. And we emphasize inspiration, engagement, and opening doors to technology.
Thanks, Tim. We'll hear more from you in just a little bit. Heidi, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi Brown. I work with the Iowa After School Alliance, which supports high quality after school programs all across the state. Our mission is to improve access to after school and out of school time programs. And we have a specific focus on STEM right now as we are part of the Million Girls Moonshot movement from STEM Next, which we can talk a little bit more about throughout today. We're also part of the 50 State After School Network, which is funded by the Mott Foundation. So that's a little about me. Thanks.
Thanks, Heidi. Tyler, please introduce
Hello,
yourself.
all. My name's Tyler Hahn. I'm the director of the Cherokee Public Library. I'm in northwestern Iowa. A little bit about us. We do all sorts of after school programming for not only residents of Cherokee, but even county and sort of region wide. We have quite a draw in because we have many different esports activities, computer science activities, many different STEM activities for learners of all ages to enjoy.
Thank you, Tyler. Okay, so to begin, I'm going to direct this question specifically to Tyler and Heidi. And then Tim, if you have anything you want to add at the end, we'll sort of give you an opportunity. But this is specific to Tyler and Heidi because you operate broad programming for out of school time. So how do you integrate computer science into your program cycle? Like, do you embed it with other units? Is it standalone? How do you encourage people to do your programming, their style?
Sure. Well, I can go ahead and jump in a little bit, Sarah. So the Iowa After School Alliance is really a connector and a convener for out of school time programs happening across the state. So there's going to be any kind of programming you can think of, we're going to be able to help connect. So for sure, there are standalone programs, but there are also ways to just incorporate computer science into out of school time programs on a variety of different levels, whether it's within just the kind of one shot, going to do it this afternoon, or more of a longer, summer program that lasts a week or for a whole session. And what we want to do for folks that are actually operating their out of school time programs is to connect them with resources and make sure that they know everything that's available, and even potentially connect them with funding sources. So that's kind of where we fit in. It's how will it work for you and your program and the students that you're serving, and the age ranges that you're serving, and how can we help make it work for you so that you can actually provide access to the kiddos in your program?
And then at least with the Cherokee Public Library, we go on and we implement STEM and computer science in many of our different programs. If we see an opportunity, we will move there, from story time to after school clubs and activities. Even within open computer access, we have tools available for everybody to learn at their pace and with their means to go ahead and access the technology. Because first and foremost, that's the library's role within our community, is information to that access and those resources for all learners, no matter what.
Thanks, Tyler. Tim, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I would just say our model is really providing what we believe is age appropriate, not only at the skill level, but the content level for whatever the program is. So for example, when we do our high school summer camp, tech camp, we're definitely providing those skills that are a little above and beyond what maybe middle school would be currently learning. So they're not going to get block-based coding, for example. They're going to be diving into Python and Arduino, C++ coding, things like that. So we try to be age appropriate based on the program.
Thank you. And then I see we have a telephone number. Kim, is that you? Or maybe Monica? All right, maybe we'll circle back there later. But thank you very much for that insight about how to integrate computer science into the programming that already exists. So this next question, Tyler, I'm going to direct it at you, and Kim, if you can hear us, this is also for you. So in your programs, how do computer science activities look different for different ages or abilities or interests? So basically, like, how do you differentiate your computer science programming when you serve a really broad audience?
Definitely. So earlier learners, like for instance, we are a big fan of the governor's scale up program. So we did Storytime STEM Packs, where we actually have a computer science education curriculum that we can use with our earliest learners, where that, for instance, we're not even using a lot of technology to teach those computer science principles. Whereas with our middle school and high school students, we're working more interest based, either within Minecraft or within Fortnite Creative, where we can teach principles like conditionals, for instance, where we can build an entire escape room based on that principle alone to teach learners. And then whereas adults, we can go so broad. We have a program called Tech Tuesday where we offer one-on-one tech help, where we might be doing basic coding, for instance, teaching a skill like twin motion to an adult who wants to learn how to design their house or their yard within an architectural program. Or we might even look at other programming like Java, for instance, or Python, just to see how to go ahead and help our kids with their homework. So it just varies, and there's a large breadth of knowledge that we have to kind of encompass for that.
Thank you, Tyler. Does anybody else, any of our other panelists, want to talk a little bit about differentiation? Because I know that, like Heidi and Tim, you also work with broader audiences, and since we have a little bit more time. No big additions there, though? Okay, then we'll zip right on. So this is a question specifically for Heidi and Tim. So what resources are available to empower facilitators who may be computer science learners themselves? So in other words, how do you facilitate computer science when you don't have a computer science background? And that seems scary, like help empower these participants. Tim, I see you unmuted. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So, I think the first thing I would say is just to keep an appropriate perspective that I don't think, at least for me, I've never taken the approach that I need to be a software engineer in order to to work with students. That I don't necessarily have to have that breadth of knowledge. And so that kind of takes a little bit of a burden off myself. But there are some great resources, and these are fairly common in schools. Code.org, obviously. What a great tool for learning the basics of coding, what students are also learning in school. CodeHS is another one. It's you can get a free account to both of those, and you can go through the various curriculums that they have available. Another great resource that I personally use quite a bit is freecodecamp.org. Lots of modular tutorials out there that you can really take anywhere from if you want a multi-week course on a specific skill, or even just diving down into a specific topic, you can find quite a bit out there. But regardless, I think again, it's just from a personal standpoint, just thinking about how I apply it. It always, for me, it's always best to be able to take what I'm learning and be able to apply it to something that I'm passionate about, like a specific project or something. I'm the kind of a logical type person. I like to, in the morning, play a game of Sudoku or something like that. So why not use something like that as a kind of an application that I can learn and be able to take what I'm learning and do something with it, where then I've got an outcome that means something to me. Maybe it's a website, a personal website, or maybe it's something as a nonprofit that's near and dear to my heart that I would want to update their website or something like that. So finding that application or project that it can apply is always a benefit. And especially in a time where we want students, when we think about like work-based learning and those types of things, to be able to demonstrate that ourselves is always a good idea.
Yeah, Tim, totally agree with everything you said. And I'm happy to share some additional resources as well. I think in my experience in the out of school time world, sometimes teaching computer science or STEM in general can be met with a little bit of trepidation, maybe because people are not confident or not sure that they can jump in and teach other kids. But what I really want educators of all types out of school time to understand is it's not all rocket science, and it doesn't have to be very, very involved and high level for students to be exposed and enjoy programming. And there's lots of resources available for educators. We are currently supporting an AmeriCorps program in Iowa right now, which is staffed mainly with college students. And they are using these resources and providing programs for kiddos and after school right now and having wonderful success. Code.org, as Tim said, is a great resource. There is a program, or there's an opportunity right now called Hour of Code. I dropped a link in the chat box, and then there's also a link on the PowerPoint as well for people to go to. It's a guide, and it's a really step-by-step guide to introduce young people to coding, and it really will make it accessible to anybody that's interested in bringing it to their students. The Million Girls Moonshot link is also available. If that's not something that you are familiar with currently, you really should look into it. Million Girls Moonshot sounds like it's a space theme, but really the intent is to just get 1 million more girls interested and have access to STEM programming within the next year. And that's something that we are supporting fully as well. The After School Alliance website is available for people, and there's tons of free resources on there, as well as the resource U for Youth. U for Youth is a wonderful resource for many different areas, but they provide online training. Some of it is free, some of it is for a small fee that can be used for your educators in all different areas, and STEM and computer science is one of those. The Million Girls Moonshot also will provide what's called an asset package every month. And so this month is supporting the computer science portion of it. So if you take a look at that, which I also believe is linked in your PowerPoint presentation, you will see many, many opportunities for students kindergarten through high school available as well.
Thanks, Heidi. I want to open this up to Tyler. Do you have any additional suggestions for empowering folks who don't consider themselves a computer science expert to explore CS with kids?
Oh, most definitely. There are thousands of resources available. It's just a matter of looking. I honestly repurpose a lot of educator materials myself. For instance, all of my staff went through the Apple for Education little miniature course, which was free, but that gave them proficiency to use the Mac OS software for a variety of applications. Furthermore, there are many lessons available for free with both Minecraft as well as Fortnite for Education, where what would be better to do on a snowy, Iowa day than sitting home together as a family, doing something that your family's interested in while also learning computer science principles. It is amazing, 100% free. Most of the time, just look for whatever video game you're playing as well as education, and you'll find some sort of model or lesson to go through, which, yeah, 100% recommend.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. And before we depart from this empowering piece, Heidi, you said something about how the Iowa After School Alliance is training AmeriCorps members to be the experts that out-of-school providers can call upon. And Tim, I know that you've given some really good advice before on how to approach professionals as possible mentors. Would you mind sharing like 3 tips or, just sort of the short, how to make it approachable for someone who may not consider themselves an expert in dealing with youth, but does have computer science expertise? How can we empower these out-of-school facilitators to approach the business community?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So, in our mission, we emphasize volunteer involvement. We specifically say in our mission that we're, these opportunities are led by volunteer professionals, and these are the technology professionals in the community. And so, without them, Tech Journey doesn't exist. So we have learned a few lessons over the years. One is, as far as recruitment of volunteers and the businesses that we build relationships with, it's a very intentional ask. We do the mass marketing and we'll send out an email and we'll do a call for volunteers, and that's great. Sometimes we get a few that way, and it probably those types of channels lead more towards advocacy, but the volunteer base that we build up is really because of very intentional asks, sitting down, having lunch, talking to volunteers, getting to really know what their interest is in working with youth. And a few things kind of typically come out of those types of conversations. One is sometimes, this is kind of the proverbial, I wish I had a nickel every time I heard this kind of thing. It's the, well, I wish there was a program like this when I was that age. And I actually kind of like hearing that, because that gives me an opportunity to exploit that comment and just say, well, what would you like to do about it? How can you help us? How can you be a part of that? And it really allows me to kind of step into, their world and start to move them into that role. Sometimes I learn that, and this is something we learned early on, when we talk about working with youth, I think, especially from a practitioner standpoint, a professional standpoint, that's my background. So I really can empathize with this. And that is, sometimes we hear education and we think as a practitioner, it's like, well, I don't know how to educate. I don't know how to train. I don't know necessarily the right way to go about that. And I think it has a stereotype of almost a burden that they're molding and shaping this young mind, and is that something that they were trained to do? And we try to get away from that stereotype. We learned early on that instead of calling our volunteer mentors that actually deliver a program, we used to call them instructors. Now we call them facilitators. Just a small step to even work in that direction of kind of breaking down that barrier. So focusing on relationships, kind of the main thing would be a second item, and it really does. Our focus is inspiration. And so even to take that idea of education a step further, we don't necessarily in when I work with potential volunteers, sometimes they start to get in the mindset of, well, how am I going to teach this particular topic, or how am I going to teach this particular technology? And again, we want to take the focus on education, but also move them to, well, what we're really asking here is inspiration. We want you to inspire the students, help them to see the potential of a technology or a topic or something like this. You're not being measured today on proficiency or anything like that of this student. We're just asking you to help them walk away feeling like, oh, I want to go learn more about that, or I want to go dive into that deeper. And so you're just fueling that fire inside of them. And in order to do that, I guess the last point would be, sometimes we have to give our facilitators autonomy. It's a lot easier for me to approach a mentor or a facilitator and ask them what would they like to share with the youth, rather than telling them, well, I need you to deliver a microbit workshop, or I need you to deliver this other workshop. If they can deliver something they're passionate about, just for example, this past year at our tech camp for high school students, we had one session where it was music production using Python, and it was delivered by an engineer who is also a music artist. He's part of a band, and then we had another session that was drawing or art with Python, and it was actually another systems engineer, system developer who also had a background in teaching art, and she's an artist herself. And so those are two opportunities where it's like, you do what you want to do, and show the students and inspire the students, that help them to kind of connect those dots. Wow, I never thought I could use something like computer programming or coding to apply that to art or to music or something like that. So, but a volunteer can't go there unless they've been given permission to.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tim. So from that, we've really gotten, ways to skill up your staff, give them choice in helping to empower them to explore computer science with their youth, but also ways to tap into other resources in the community to help both inspire and facilitate, bring in some expertise. So thank you very much. We have about 4 minutes left before we open it up to questions from the folks who are participating as audience members. And I think the telephone number there is Monica Post from the Boys and Girls Club. Monica, are you able to unmute? Because this next question is directed specifically towards you, and I'm going to ask it to the general panel, and I hope that you all will be formulating a response in your mind in case Monica can't unmute. So the question is, what should out-of-school educators consider in their efforts to recruit and retain youth, particularly those that are underrepresented in computer science, so particularly young women and youth of color, into computer science opportunities out of school? So like a lot of this work kids elect into. So how do we make that attractive and retain all students who elect into it? I think we can just open it up to anybody. So what do you do in your program, like Tyler and Tim, your programming efforts where you're putting out into the world, here's some things that we're offering, and then the youth sign up for that?
I'll go ahead and get started if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I advocate a lot for is youth voice and choice in what we do. We typically will not run the same program twice. Interests are constantly changing, computer science and technology. It's constantly changing. We have to continue to update and reinvigorate our programs to see where the interest is as well as where technology is. So from that perspective, we're constantly moving.'re constantly aiming for a moving target. So as long as you have those two principles in mind, you will see youth within your community participate, particularly those who are underrepresented within STEM.
Yeah, and for us, Tech Journey, we really approach it both ways. We do have some of our programs that are available publicly. Our Coder Dojo program, for example, anyone can register, anyone can come. But then there's also programs where we're working with specific organizations, community-based youth service organizations like Girl Scout Troop, for example, or Urban Dreams. We've done some work with them where they already have the students identified for our tech camp, for example, with high school students. So the large populace of the students come from Des Moines Public Schools, and it's invitation only. They're selecting those students and sending them to us for that program. So we kind of take both approaches as far as how we get our students, so that we're making our programs available both publicly and then specifically to those target audiences.
Yeah, I'd add that we believe really that role models and mentors are really, really important in having kiddos see themselves in these roles as they become adults. And so one specific resource that I would want to call out is called the If Then Collection. It's about inspiring, especially young women of color, by showing STEM professionals who are as diverse as they are, and helps them be able to identify themselves as, this could be a potential career pathway for me as well. So I think, connecting kids with people that look like them, that are in the roles that we want them to know that they have access and ability for, is really important in creating that career pathway for our youth.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. So a note to the audience, there is an opportunity for questions. You can pose questions to our panel. Please start populating those in the chat. Allie's going to moderate that, so start typing your questions in now, because we're almost to the point where the panel can address them. And so while you're typing, also be listening, because the next question I'm going to pose is just families are really important influencers in the out of school opportunity participation. So how do you engage and educate family members about computer science in out of school time? This is open to everybody.
I'll go ahead and touch on that again real quick. So one of our biggest things within the library sphere, which Iowa has over 500 libraries throughout the state, is advocacy. Advocacy that we are a free resource to go ahead and use, and then communicating those resources that we have to the greater community about all these amazing summer programs or weekend programs that we can offer.
So, strategically, we, we understand that, the family and especially parents have an important role in a child's engagement and in their education, in the education process. So we want them to be a part of that. And practically, what that means is in some of our programs, like our Coder Dojo program, for example, I referenced. For those students that are under the age of 13, and this just practically for us as it helps with child safety, with legal requirements, things like this. We require a parent or legal guardian to be present and with the student for them to participate. And so it not only helps us at those practical levels, but then it's really encouraging to see the confidence when the student can, show a parent or an adult, hey, this is what I've done and things like this. And then we also, as much as possible in our programs, we just provide family-friendly opportunities. So at those coder dojos, for example, the students always have time at the end of the meetup to share what they worked on, and so they get to celebrate not only with their peers, but then also with other family members. And then our tech camp with the high school students, for example, at the end of the week, we always invite the parents in. We usually have about a 3-hour. There's a keynote speaker, call it a reception, where all the students get to have opportunity to show what they've worked on during the week, and the parents can go around and see that. And it's a tradition, we have cake, and we just kind of make it a fun, enjoyable time, and really just enabling that opportunity for parents and family members to engage.
Yeah, you said cake, Tim. That is a key. If you can feed people, that's the way to bring them in. And I think the out of school time programs is a really unique opportunity to bring families into programs. We know, that high quality programs allow kiddos to have the opportunity to showcase what they've been learning. And, what parent doesn't want to come in and see what their kid has been working on and see them be recognized for what they've been working on as well. So those celebrations are so important. But if your child is in an after school or out of school time program and it is high quality, you should definitely be seeing opportunities for families to come in for those kind of regular celebrations and those regular showcasing of what the students have been learning, even if they're, very short. And if that's not happening, then that's something that we should be talking to our out of school time providers about, because it's really important for students to have the opportunity to get in front of groups and get in front of their parents and talk about what they've been learning, and then potentially take something home that can be done as an extension to what has happened in the program, that can be done with parents and siblings as an extension of learning.
Thank you. Okay, this is last call for audience questions. And the last question for the panel before we go to the Q&A. I know there's one in there. So I want to make sure that we cover this, because all panels will cover it. As your sort of last formal question from me, what does success in computer science education look like to you? And what support do you need to achieve that? And you've got about 1 minute. So we'll just take 3 minutes here and then we'll get to the question. Heidi, do you want to start?
Yeah, for us for myself at the Iowa After School Alliance, it's really just about providing access to kids after school in the summertime. We know that there are lots of really hot pockets of places in Iowa where there's lots for kids to do after school and lots of opportunities, but then we also have deserts in Iowa, and that's something that we're really actively working on changing. So it's about connecting the dots in those places where kids don't have the opportunities, and that is something that we are, hoping to continue to work on with our community organizations, our YMCAs, our Boys and Girls Clubs, our school providers that are providing childcare after school. What are ways that we can then bring some more academically rich programming into the after school time? Because we've got access to the kids. Then let's do something really enriching and beneficial for them. So for me, it's about access and opportunity, and that is success. It doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be rocket science, but it has to be the opportunity for kids to have a chance to see what it is. And if they can see it, then they can be it. So.
Thanks. Tyler, do you want to go next?
Definitely. So success for us, number one, looks like kids are having fun. Everybody is having a good time. I love it if they learn something and they talk about what they learned. But if they came in, they had quality education and out of school time for 45 minutes to an hour. Number one, that's my biggest goal right there is they've had exposure to this. They can see it as a possible career. They can see it's something that their peers are doing and they can connect it to the real world. So that is success for me.
Thank you. And Tim.
Yeah, when I think of success in this space, I kind of think of the model of youth sports and just how over time, sports in high schools have been supported by a very large ecosystem outside of the school, and I think and that takes a lot of time. I'm kind of an elder here on the call, and I think back to when I was young, and those opportunities weren't available. And that's what we're talking about now is how do we make those opportunities available so that they can make a decision to choose this, let's call it sport for the brain, if you will. And it's going to take time, but that's what I see, and I think we have to make investments in the after school programs. We have to make investments into community spaces, into the science centers and things like this, because it's got to be seen, and those opportunities have to exist outside of the classroom. And so it's going to take time, but I think we can get there. And one of the challenges, and I haven't figured this out, is that time does have to be accelerated a little bit. Technology moves at a different pace than what sports move at, and so we have to factor that in and figure out how to address that. I don't have the answer, but I do see that model being a way we could look at success. Excuse me.
Thank you. Allie, do you want to ask the panel questions from the audience here?
Yeah, so the first one is, what do you tell students who might lack confidence or don't see themselves as fitting into a comp science class or camps?
I'll go ahead and touch on this one. So over the summer, we had a Minecraft camp that we partnered with a local community college for, that we called it Camp Redstone. We exposed these kids to a variety of careers, including computer science. But one of the things that we brought in as well were people who had or who worked in these careers. So we had both instructors as well as panelists from across America, and it was really interesting. One girl that was there just because her parents made her do it. It was basically like good childcare. You got lunch and everything like that. She's like, I don't know if I necessarily like Minecraft. I don't know if I want to go to a community college, but we had a conversation with a graphic designer, and she's like, that's what I wanted to do. I just didn't know that's what the career was called. And for me, that made that entire experience so worthwhile.
Yeah, I would just echo what Tyler said, in that sometimes, I understand computer science education as a label. Sometimes I think that it almost is creating a roadblock in a lot of cases, because that there's stereotypes that go along with that and everything. But the more we can do to help students see those connections, like I shared earlier about art or music or things like this, where they have an interest, if we can find those interests and then help to bridge them, I think that's typically a first step in helping them to fit in or helping them to have the confidence. And then from there, it's got to be something within themselves that takes hold, and then they grasp it, and then they want to learn more, and it's up to us then to fuel that.
Yeah, I just really echo what the other panelists said. I think it's about enriching and engaging programming, and allowing, students to see that computer science is part of many different industries, including things that they might be very interested in, and having that taste of it. And, potentially it's not their what they want to do forever, and that's okay, but maybe it would lead to something else, and just be that catalyst for, oh, maybe I should, look at a career in STEM. Maybe it's computer science, but maybe it's something else, but this could be the pathway.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. The next one is specifically for Tyler. Could you explain a little bit more about Fortnite for Education? And then what is the best way to market those programs to the youth so they don't think it's a little too complicated for them to learn?
Definitely. So many video game developers have been spending immense amount of their money, time, and resources in developing educational curriculum, epic games. A good contact would be Steve Isaacs. He's one of their educational program managers, has many different curriculums out, from creating Rube Goldberg machines. There's also lessons out now on UN's, the United Nations sustainability goals going forward as well, which are 100% free to use, as well as that game is free to use within Fortnite Creative, where you go in and you create these worlds and you run through these modules and you create many different things, and you can disable all of the weapons and things like that, and just have these really stylized, really neat environments to go ahead and connect with. How do we go ahead and connect with kids? So there's an entire ecosystem that we as adults don't know about for connecting. A lot of times when I talk with youth, I don't ask what their favorite TV show is. I ask who their favorite streamer is. Who are they? Like, what channels are they on YouTube? And that will be one of your keys to success as well, is figuring out, where do I go ahead and showcase these artifacts which we are creating? Do we make our own Twitch channel and live stream what we've created? Do we go ahead and create a YouTube gaming channel and upload videos of what we've done to highlight our program? As well as, where do teens communicate? And a lot of times, especially within the video game world, Discord is an app to where you could go ahead and create a server that's specifically related to your programs. So I could talk about this all day. So if you want any more information, feel free to go ahead and email me. That'd probably be best.
Thank you so much. I think this has been a wealth of resources and just empowering encouragement. I can't thank you all enough for being sharing your expertise with us today. And with that, I will say, please make sure you check out all of the resources. If you want to share this with your friends, we're going to share the recording on the computer science website with IOSTEM. So it's iostem.org/CS and the archive will be there. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Corey. The link is right there. And I just thank you all so much. Happy Computer Science Week, everyone.